Hi everybody, I'm Rick Beato. In today's Everything Music, we're going to talk about the guitar style of legendary jazz guitarist Joe Pass. Joe Pass was born in New Jersey in 1929. He was one of the greatest jazz guitarists, probably the finest solo jazz guitar player of all time, and made an incredible contribution to jazz guitar. He lived until 1994 when he passed away at age 65 and was a really big influence on me because my dad was a huge Joe Pass fan. Joe Pass's seminal record, Virtuoso, came out in August of 1973 when I was 11 years old. My dad bought it for me for Christmas when I was in 10th grade, so 16 years old, and told me that if I ever learned to play like this, I've accomplished something with my life. So that's what kind of got me started on Joe Pass. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to probably do this in a couple different parts, this video, because there's a lot to talk about with Joe, with the solo playing, because it encompasses a lot. It's linear, there's a lot of bass line to it, there's a lot of rubato playing, which is out of tempo, there is a lot of chord work, with a tremendous amount of chord substitutions, a lot of chord melody playing. So we're going to kind of attack it on multiple fronts. The first thing I want to do is talk about Joe's chord vocabulary, because it's because most of his things, and we're going to talk about the Virtuoso record in particular, most of the pieces on here are probably the most played standards, I would say. I think there's one original on here. There's a blues that is original, but all the rest of them, he's got Stella by Starlight, Round Midnight, Have You Met Miss Jones, All the Things You Are, Cherokee, The Song Is You, My Romance, I forget. I mean, that's a lot of the tunes on the record, but Night and Day, the record starts with, I believe. So it's a really classic record. If there's one jazz guitar record that you're going to buy Virtuoso, because it is the pinnacle of solo jazz guitar that's really never, in some ways never been matched again. And it's probably Joe's pinnacle of his playing. 1974, 73, 74, 75 was really his I believe, which was kind of the height of his playing ability. And he would have been in his 40s then, but his improvisations and technique were just top-notch. So let's start out with talking about some of the language Joe uses in his chords. Like my Wes Montgomery video, Joe uses a lot of drop 2 voicings. And there are certain chordal runs that you need to know to be able to play Joe Pass style chord melodies and things like that. Okay, we're going to start with a simple chord melody. It's actually not that simple. That's in F major. It's a 2-5-1, G minor 7 to C7. I'm going to probably use C7 flat 9 to F major 7. And it's going to go over a lot of the type voicings that Joe does, and I'm just going to teach it to you right now. It's a run that starts on G minor 7. We're going to start with this G minor 7 inversion. Starts with the 7th and the bass here on the... And then I'm going to put a passing diminished here at the 4th fret. Okay, so... And then we're going to go to this root position version of a G minor 7, so passing diminished, another passing, and then up to this inversion of a with the 3rd in the bass of a G minor 7. So I went to a C7. You can play this if you'd like. This is a G minor 7 to a C7. So I'm going from C7 to a passing diminished there. Let me do it again. Put a C in the bass, that's a C13 flat 9. So I'm going. So I'm playing that melody all on the high E string while the notes are ringing. Well, I've got, and then did. To diminish, did that upper extension, and then surrounded C7 flat 9 there. And I'm going to resolve to an F6 chord right there. And then I'm going to go. So here's, this is like an F6. So I'm borrowing these two notes. And then I'm going that version of an F major 7 chord. And then there, and then. We can end up there, but let me do it again now. Again, one more time. I sped this up. You have to learn this to know Joe Pass. You have to understand F major 7, F6, F major 7, F major 9. So I got. If you get that fill and you get this and get this, there's two different things. There's a. You can use that. So that will give you a good basis for understanding Joe's chord vocabulary, a lot of it. He uses a similar thing that Wes does. So let's say we take this as a C7 chord and I have an E half diminished, E minor 7 flat 5. But Joe uses those scale tones to connect positions. Okay, so that would be a C9 move. Now, other things to know are how to walk a bass line starting with just dominant chords is a very would be a really good basis to do that, because when I start showing you things from Virtuoso, you're going to start encountering these concepts. So I want to show them to you beforehand. Let's take the circle of fifths. We'll start on G7. We're going to play just simply the root, third, and flat 7, and we're going to do. So what I'm doing here is doing G7, upper neighbor tone, upper neighbor tone, upper neighbor tone. I'm going through this through the circle of fifths. G7, C7, F7, B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat, D flat, F sharp. So I went from B up to E, and so on and so forth. I finish on G there. Now, next thing to do is to do the lower neighbor tone. So go. I'm using these fingers, hybrid picking, and I'm playing the upper notes. I'm playing the roots with my thumb and pick. I'm playing the other two notes with these fingers. So then after you do that first one with the upper neighbors, and then you alternate them. Upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower. Then the next thing you do is you play them where you do now I'm using an upper and lower neighbor. Now you notice me using different fingerings, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm showing you there's a lot of possible ways that you can finger these chords. 2, 1, 1. Or you can finger the chord like that. Joe does that a lot too. And there I did chromatic down to it. So okay, so there's that exercise. So I just went through a bunch of different things there to know in your preparation for learning how to walk bass lines like Joe does. Next thing to do is a very simple climbing exercise through these chord inversions. Okay, so this would be like for dominant chords. Let's say we take a G7 chord. I'm going to go G7 and walk up to a first inversion G major chord. So I got G7 there. This is like a passing diminished. So these two are the same. They're you could say they're like a could be like a D7 with an A in the bass to an E flat 7 with a B flat in the bass. You could look at it like that. What I'm doing here, that's another thing. So I'm playing B, G, skipping a string and playing F. That's an F major chord with a C in the bass. So then you can go up here. So then up here you go D, B, G. Then I'm going up to a G7 over F. I'm only playing the notes on that low E string, D string, G string. So it's E, like an A7 over E. So C sharp, G. Then I'm doing E flat, C, G. So here's a good way to practice this. Okay, so those kind of those are fill lines, essentially, is what I'll call those. Those are ways to connect things. All those different things with the walking bass lines and connecting dominant chords, going through the cycle of fifths. These are things that Joe does constantly. The line, you'll start hearing those lines when he's playing his chord melodies. You'll start recognizing these same kind of ideas that happen. The next thing to learn how to do is how to walk a bass line and play chords at the same time. Now, if you play you have to be really versatile with your fingering. Sometimes Joe is fingering his A minor 7 chord. I'm going to do a 2-5-1 in G major. Sometimes he's fingering like that. Other times he's fingering like that. The advantage of fingering like this with a bar and playing the other notes with these fingers, I'm simply playing the notes in the low E and then I'm playing the G, C. It leaves your hand open to walk bass lines. So this would be kind of a typical Joe Pass 2-5. Now I'm putting little chord stabs in there, like this. That time I did a C major 7 as a fill chord. Because it's a sub, I can do a C major 6, which is more like an A minor 7. It's the next inversion. So another thing you can do is, instead of playing the G6 chord here, play an E minor 7 as a sub for G major 7. So you go. There you go, right? Okay, so these are a bunch of, it's hard to follow at first, but I'm putting together a bunch of different walking bass lines to show you how Joe connects these 2-5-1s. Sometimes he'll connect it where he'll put a chord every other one with a passing note. Passing. Sometimes I hold the 2 chord. So on and so forth. Here's another way that you can actually hold on some chords in the same way where you can play. Where I'm just pedaling on it, but I'm changing the voicing in the middle of it. He does that a lot. That's a G major, B minor 7 flat 6, or G major, first inversion, G major add 9 chord. Okay, so there's another so don't forget you can hold your chords as well. So I played a D7, D11, D dominant 7 flat 9, G6, C minor 7 flat 5 as a passing chord to B minor 7 flat 5, or I can go to C minor 6, to B minor 7 flat 5, which is a sub minor 2-5, to turn back around. So instead of 2 measures on the G major 7, I'm throwing in a minor 2-5 to fill in the key of A minor of the 2 chords. So I'm doing a 5-7 of 2, but I'm putting a B minor 7 flat 5 before the 5-7 of 2. So I'm going to pedal on the 5 chord and the 1 chord. Listen. So I did a passing minor 6 chord to half diminish. You can do F9 tritone substitute to B to E7 sharp 9 flat 9, sharp 9 flat 9, so on and so forth. Many different possibilities with these walking bass lines. What you have to do is you have to go back to some of my older videos and find out about tritone subs and all these things. Now Joe's combining all these different things. He's not playing chord solos. When Wes was playing, Wes was really playing with rhythm sections all the time, so he wasn't doing these kind of walking bass lines, although you will see him do Freddie Green style where he'll be, where you'll see him play a lot of chords like that. He'll walk chord voicings, but he won't be walking a bass line in that same way. He might walk. might play a lot of quarter note chords like that in his comping, but Joe's actually walking bass lines and interspersing chords because he's actually playing with his fingers, unlike Wes that was just playing with his thumb. Another thing Joe will do with chords out of the dominant diminished scale, he'll use voicings like this, which is a B over C chord, which comes from the, it's the same scale as you'd use for a sharp 9 flat 9 sound. And he'll use it like this. 13 flat 9 voicing with a 7th in the bass. That's part of the diminished scale. But I'm using that as a passing chord. So I got C, B triad. This moves up in minor thirds. And you can do the same thing. The last thing I want to talk about in this part 1 of Joe Pass, this is our preparatory, this is our preparation for actually getting into some of his solo work on Virtuoso. I want to introduce all these concepts and get you used to playing in Joe's style with the chord voicings, the comping, walking bass lines and comping, and now I want to talk about single note playing. So there are certain types of lines that you will hear Joe play, but it's so varied. It's really coming out of a Charlie Parker bebop sound, but he really has his own kind of modern sounds, probably because he played with people like Oscar Peterson that had really advanced harmonic vocabularies. And you'll hear Joe play things that you wouldn't expect him to play, triads from the dominant diminished scale, things like that. But we'll start out with some of the lines that are kind of that you will hear. For example, his surround tone lines he'll play on a major 7 or major 6 chord. So in G, let's say, he goes. So he's surrounding with non-chord tones. So 7th, so he's going 9th, 7th root. He's surrounding the 3rd chromatically. 4th, flat 3rd to the 5th, and then 6, sharp 4, 5. Then just does it up there. And that's a good thing to practice. That's with almost like a polyrhythm. So understanding those kind of lines, then you have your 2/5 style lines. Being able to do your rig on a major 7th voicing for a 2/5 like that. That's one thing to master before you can get into Joe's playing. It's really early sweep picking. So I'm playing that close position, C major 7. So, stuff like that, these kind of really, really cool bebop lines. Joe will do everything. He'll backslide. You gotta be able to play your diminished arpeggio. Your diminished scale. And you gotta be able to play him in all different interval combinations and things like that, just to be able to get through his solos. Being able to play things like on a G major 7. So I'm playing. Lines like that go all over the neck. You got to be used to playing that kind of stuff to play Joe's style. You have to be able to play all these different type bebop lines in order to get through these things that I'll be showing you off Virtuoso. That's all for now. Please subscribe here to my Everything Music YouTube channel. And if you're interested in the Beato book, write me at rickbeato1@gmail.com. That also will have a lot of these type voicings in there, because I have a section on guitar as well in there that talk about all these different voicings that you'll hear Joe play. That's all for now. I'm Rick Beato. Thanks for watching.